Hello and welcome to the Absolute Business Success podcast show with me, Carol Evans, your business consultant and coach. I've worked in business all my adult life and set up and run a number of my own businesses over the last 15 years. So on this show, I'd like to share with you the tips and strategies that have helped me create success in my business and life, as well as in my clients. In this series, I'm interviewing women who inspire and asking why she does what she does. If you want total inspiration, then why not hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out? And if you'd like even more information, then why not check out my website at consultancyandcoaching.co.uk. Here you'll find lots of wonderful freebies that'll help you make the progress you desire. Now, let's get started. Hello and good morning, Jo, and welcome. And thank you so much for joining me this morning and for providing some Monday morning motivation.
Ooh, thank you.
So, Jo, why don't you go straight ahead and just tell us who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm Jo Gaffney. What I do now, and it's very new to me, is image consultancy and colour analysis. So these are quite new. I'm actually a registered mental health occupational therapist by background. And I have been working in the NHS for quite a number of years. And I decided that I'd moved into management and didn't feel like a therapist anymore. With 20 years ahead of me in my professional career, I wanted to explore something different, so I've ended up retraining as an image consultant.
That is quite a massive difference, isn't it, from kind of NHS, occupational therapy, mental health to image consultancy. And what kind of made you actually decide on the image consultancy? Was it linked to kind of what you'd experienced in the job, or something that you're just passionate about?
Well, it does sound like a big leap. I think the biggest leap is being in a secure and large organisation into being completely on your own.
Sure.
Actually, the career link isn't that different. So what I found is I feel more like an occupational therapist now than I have done for the last 7 or 8 years. What I'm actually doing is a very therapeutic process, and I think my skills as an occupational therapist support me to be my own sort of image consultant. I think your personal image is quite an emotive subject when ladies, it's mostly ladies, but this is also available to gentlemen as well, and children. When people are sat in that chair having their colour analysis or having a talk about style and how they present themselves, we often go back to how they've ended up hiding in black or baggy clothes. So it's quite a therapeutic process. So it's not a million miles away from what I have been doing as a clinician.
It's really fascinating, Jo, that there is that link there, and I can understand it because I have a background in psychiatric hospitals as well, so I can understand it. And I also know from my own personal point of view, and also from many of my clients, where they just suffer so much, so often, in terms of confidence about the way they look and the way they come over. And it's amazing to see, that you can have that effect on people. But what kind of challenges have you had along the way then, from moving from the corporate NHS world into your own business?
I would say my biggest challenges are my own self-doubt. So I'm very fortunate to be very supported by my husband. So finances, I think, are the biggest hurdle, because you go from a secure monthly income to nothing. Everything has to be generated. So there's a lot of talking, marketing, telling people what you're doing, who you are, before you actually start to have a financially stable business. I'm actually only in month 3, so those challenges are still current. The doubts are, I think, a lot of people, we think, I'm not a businesswoman. How do I know the first thing about setting up a business? but actually there's a whole host of information that I do know. I know the important bit. I know about what it is that I want to offer. I know that it's a good service, and I know that people love it and benefit from it. The rest falls into place as you go. So the challenges are still current, but I'm dealing with them. I knew there would be challenges. I think you do need to prepare yourself for how those challenges will feel. That's the bit you can't plan for, how you're going to feel about not having a client, or not having as much money as you had in the bank when you were in full-time employment.
Yeah, and I think two things there, Jo, is one is obviously people would expect somebody with your background, you know, particularly in mental health, that they would look at you and think, oh no, she's not going to have those self-doubt issues because she knows how to deal with them. And the second thing I'd say is that, having been in business, worked in business virtually all my life, but you know, started work for myself a good 15, 16 years ago, those challenges never actually go away. You know, you never overcome kind of all the doubts. You just learn how to deal with them more effectively. So tell us a little bit about how you've helped some of your clients. You know, you don't have to give specific details about individuals, but you know, what is the process that you take them through then?
Well, just going back to what you said about the mental health bit, I think mental ill health is indiscriminate. We all have mental health.
Yeah.
It's how we manage our mental health. So working in mental health gives you some management strategies. It doesn't mean to say that we won't have those feelings and that self-doubt from time to time, as you've just highlighted. For clients, when they come to see me, I have had people say, I've thought about doing this for years. I didn't want to because I don't want to be told I can't wear black. When we explore why are you wearing black, because they want to blend into the background and be invisible. But and we explore that further. Why is it that you don't want to be visible? Because being visible for the right reasons is very different to being invisible and having to explain yourself, if you like. So some, particularly women, don't want to stand out in a crowd. They want to sort of blend into the background, and I wonder why that is. Sometimes it's different reasons for everyone. So when they're sitting in the chair, they're looking in the mirror, and because I'm fairly new to this business, it does take me a couple of hours. So the client is looking at themselves in the mirror for that time, and we don't do that. When we look in the mirror, we very easily revert to critiquing what it is we see. When we're made to look in the mirror for a long period of time, we're sat zoning in on all the bits we don't like about ourselves. So what I'm asking people to do when in front of the mirror is look at the difference that different colours make to their appearance. So when we wear the right colours, our complexion is clearer, our eyes are brighter. So when you've been hiding in black, you're probably, unless you are a winter, so we do the 4 seasons, unless you are a winter who will look quite good in black, you're probably making yourself look tired and drawn. If I wear black, I look quite pale and ill. So what I'm asking ladies to rethink what is the image they want to project. Do they want to look tired? No, the answer is no. We want to look quite vibrant, and even when we're feeling a bit under the weather, wearing the right colours close to our face can make us appear better, and that in turn makes us feel better.
Yeah, sure. And I also think, like, from what you were just saying, that we're living in an era where everybody wants to be like everybody else, don't we? You know, social media encourages everybody to fit into the same kind of little box, and I think it's just so restricting. But with the onset of social media, I think people have to be very, very confident to actually go out and show who they really are. And obviously your colours and what you're wearing is all part of that, isn't it? I've even had people myself who have said to me, oh my goodness, not orange, Carol. You know, where's the beige, you know? And I do
No.
I do wear black and I do wear beige, but I'm also not afraid of wearing colour. But, you know, I do think social media does mean that we're all encouraged to kind of fit in. And so you've got that kind of breaking out as well, haven't you?
Yes, and it really, there's a part of social media that really bothers me, and it's that reason that you've just described. But actually, what the process that I do is all about finding what suits you. How do you look and feel your authentic self? So it's not about comparing yourselves with anyone you've seen on social media. One of my favourite quotes is, be so completely yourself that everyone else feels safe to be themselves too. So
Yeah.
I want people to come into the studio, look in the mirror, see the colours that make them shine, and go out and wear those colours, and hopefully others will feel freer to be themselves too. We tend to, social media is all about what the current trend is, and you know, the colours in current trend tend to be black. Mustard is around everywhere, but it doesn't suit all of us. I look jaundiced if I wear mustard, but
Yeah.
what I'm doing is educating people as well about where you can find the right colour in the shops. Burgundy is very in the shop at the moment, so I would buy in burgundy the mustard. Doesn't matter what I've seen on social media, it doesn't matter what someone else is wearing. I look my best in my own colour palette.
Yeah, no, and it's just so useful, I think, for people that my kind of experience of colour analysis from my young days didn't include kind of like the therapeutic element. And I think what you're offering is just so good, because we all have hang-ups about how we look. It doesn't matter whether we're kind of supermodel or the other extreme, but you know, everybody's got their own individual hang-ups. So actually finding what's beneath those and helping people, and you know, being an advocate for women in business, you know, I think there's a massive link there in terms of people kind of following the norm and being encouraged to do that in terms of their 9 to 5, and watching all those hours pass them by every day, to kind of actually saying, well, no, actually I kind of like I want to follow what my passion is. And it's really interesting to see how you've kind of still kept true to your passion of helping people with their mental health, but added this extra level to it that's enabling you to run your own business, which probably gives you an enormous amount of satisfaction seeing the results that you're getting for your clients.
100%. You have to enjoy what you do, don't you?
Yeah.
I know there's a quote about
There's a
that.
lot of hours that pass by in a working day if you're not enjoying what you're doing.
Yes, and you know, as humans, selfishly, we do want to be rewarded, and it's a reward for me every time somebody walks out of the studio feeling better than when they came in. And I'm not embarrassed to say that that's a selfish thing. I like that. I like somebody coming in and going away feeling that they can go and be themselves. And it's not just about the colours, it's about the styles you wear, how you dress, your personality. And we're all different, and that's what we should be celebrating.
Absolutely, totally agree there. So Jo, what kind of processes do you put into place in your own day to help you overcome the challenges, to help keep you driving forward with your business and where you want to go? What do you use?
Well, first and foremost, diary. Everything is diarised. So if I say I'm going to phone somebody or I need to email somebody, it has to go in the diary, because I am a bit of a scatterbrain. I don't mind admitting I do forget things. My diary is my biggest organisational tool, but I do like to set myself goals. So my to-do list that I write on Monday is sort of my goal list. And being an occupational therapist by background, those goals have got to be smart. So there's no point in me making myself big, unachievable goals, because that's not going to do my mental health any good either.
Yeah.
So I do that diary. That's the practical thing. But the big thing, I think, the difference working for yourself is you don't have the camaraderie that you have in a big organization. So it's hugely important to make links with others, and it's so easy to do that. I've found so many groups on Facebook and networking groups, and a few individuals that have reached out that I didn't know them before, 2 months ago. I didn't know them, but they've become in their own way my support network. So I do have an associate I work with as well, who is very skilled in the field in which I've just come into, and I just think it's so important to be authentic, to be yourself, and to ask for help when you need it. Sometimes that help is just a listening ear, but that's so readily available when you work in a big office or a big organisation. You've got to physically go and find it when you're self-employed.
Yeah, like you said, go off and set up your own business so you can work on your own, but you don't actually want to be alone. And I do agree, and I think it's just so important. And quite often you find people will set up in business, but then they'll ask inappropriate people for advice and feedback. And it's like, are those people your target clients? Do they have the skills that you need in order to give you proper advice? So I think, as you said, it's so important to reach out to appropriate people through groups and networking so you can get the right support. And that is probably the biggest thing that I missed when I moved into my own business. And I think on the other end of that, it is very easy to find, but it's also very easy to become very, very isolated. And I know I certainly did that after the first few businesses that I set up. I ended up doing one that involved me sitting in front of the computer all day, and it very quickly became there was so much work to do that it just became a habit, and I lost touch with so many people because there's just so much work. And then you can become isolated, so it's just so important, isn't it, to make those links. So what would be your top tips to people then who are looking to set up in business? You're still quite young yourself in terms of your business and your age, of course, but what would it's the right colours, isn't it? The use of the right colours.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So what would your top tips be, Jo, then, to other people who are thinking about, should they actually leave their 9 to 5 and set up a business and follow their passion?
Right. I mean, we're all different. So, and I'm fairly new to this, as you said. But if you truly believe there's something you want to do, it's different to what you're doing now, follow that belief and do it. I did procrastinate for a good 2 to 3 years before I took the leap, I have to say. But I prefer to change the word procrastination to a long period of reflection before I took the leap. So by the time I did make that positive move, I'd been thinking about it for quite a considerable length of time. I know that's not for everybody, but also I'd say, as I said earlier, have some smart goals in mind. So I've put some timescales in place for me. So if, at 3 months I want to be in a certain position, in 12 months I want to be, and if I'm not, I need to change my approach, or I think about a different road. That's the honesty. So there's a safety net there. I've got a profession that will never go away, so I'm keeping that at the forefront of what I'm doing. My other tip, as I said, is to connect with other people, but also to look after yourself. So if I don't know if people have heard of the 5 ways to well-being, you will have heard of them in your previous career, and I promoted that in mental health services. But so often we're good at giving advice and we don't always take it ourselves. So the 5 ways to well-being are a really good way of managing your own health, but I think they can be applied to business as well. So those 5 things just remind me to keep physically active, so I'm not just sat at a laptop all day or rushing from meeting to meeting, connecting with others, learning something new. Every day is a school day. Mindfulness is a big one as well. So I went to a lovely wellness day on Saturday, where a Journey to Freedom coach did a bit of meditation at the end of the day. During and after that meditation, I was thinking, yes, actually it's 10 minutes. It takes 10 minutes to just reconnect with yourself, and I think you've got to look after your own mental health and well-being so that you can manage the organisation of a business.
Yeah.
And be consistent. Authenticity is paramount, but be consistent with the message that you're putting across. So we talked about social media earlier, and social media has played a huge part in helping me make myself a place and let people know what I'm doing. So I consistently put messages out every day, and I truly mean them. I mean the things that I say. I don't share memes for the sake of it. I share the things that I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really great advice there, Jo. And I totally agree with all of the points. And I'd say about meditation, a lot of people might kind of like poo-poo it as being a bit woo-woo. But to me, I know when I don't do it,
Yes.
that's when I hit that downward spiral. And, sometimes you kind of like have so much to do in a day, and you just think, no, I just don't have time for it. Same with exercise as well, but when you stop doing these things. And I think that is, coupled with what you've said, to me, the evidence is in the fact that I kind of like feel that things are starting to fall apart a little bit when I don't do those things. So that's really useful. I'm sure people can take those on board and add them into their daily routine if they're not doing those already. So Jo,
I think it's...
Go on.
Sorry. I was going to say on that point that often when we decide to go into self-employment, it's because we haven't been giving ourselves enough time. It's because we've been neglecting exercise, family, quality time. So when you do become self-employed, it's so important to ensure you are doing those things that drove you to make that decision in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you can get absolutely snowed under with business. And I think sometimes you just have to be kind to yourself, remind yourself of those things, and not feel guilty. I think, as women, we quite often just feel so guilty when we self-care or take time out. And it is just so vital to enable us to carry on doing everything. And look, we're entitled to live a life that we love and do everything we want, and a business enables us to do that. And if we can be in a business that fulfills us, that gives us the feelings that we want to do by spending our 8 hours or our 6 hours or even our 2 or 3 hours a day doing what we love, then it's absolutely amazing. But it is what we are meant to do, isn't it?
Absolutely. I agree.
So Jo, what is next for you then? How are you going to continue growing or adding new things into what you do?
Next for me, so it's early days, but I have some training. I'm doing some style training. So the immediate next is style training for 2 weeks in Watford. So I'll be adding some skills to my portfolio. But really, it's just to continue building on what I have been doing. I've got lots of talks booked in, I've got one booked in for September next year. So wow. Lots of talks. Yeah. And I'm really happy to come and talk to groups about what I do, because it really is such a confidence builder. Great for self-esteem, great for young, older people, whoever, anybody can benefit from what I'm doing. So I'm just carrying on spreading the message.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I would strongly urge anybody to get in touch with Jo for some advice and support and make use of her services, because I think that it's time to stop kind of following what everybody else does and just find who you are and be true to that person. And there's so much satisfaction on the other side of that. So how can people find you, Jo? What have you got? A website, Facebook page?
Yes, you can find me, Jo Gaffney, on Facebook, House of Colour, Worcester, Jo Gaffney on Facebook, at Jo Gaffney HOC on Instagram. I do have a web page on the House of Colour website, which is www.houseofcolour.co.uk/Jo Gaffney.
Okay.
But it's better to find me on Facebook or Instagram, message me. I'm really happy to answer any questions. I'm happy for people to come and just talk to me about what I do. There's no obligation to engage in the services.
Yeah, no, that's
and I
great.
love to hear from people.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I'll post all your links in with the video when I post that all out.
Thank
And
you.
it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you, Jo, and really interested in your service. And it sounds like you're just giving so much to all of your clients and encouraging other people to kind of follow their passion as well. So thank you so much for your time and for your inspiration.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And thank you to everybody for listening in. And if you want to be surrounded by motivated and inspiring women, then why not come and join us over in the Planet Peacock Business Success Club, which opens its doors shortly on the 20th of November. But thank you, and I hope you all have a great week and a great day today. And thank you again, Jo, to you for your amazing advice and information today.
You're welcome.
And have a great day.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode, which I sincerely hope you have found both beneficial and enjoyable. I'd be truly grateful if you'd be able to leave a wonderful review for me. Now remember, go check out my website, download the freebies, and stay tuned for my next episode. Bye for now.